Well, the first line I think I ever said on screen was in the bill, of course. So like a rite of passage, and every actor has to do the bill at least several times in their young career. And I had to run down Whitechapel High Street shouting, "There's a bomb in the restaurant!" So obviously wearing my own clothes and had done my own makeup and hadn't done it very well. So the makeup was down here by the end of it. And I'd also worn really inappropriate shoes. So I had panda eyes and a blister by the end of the day. But I'd done my first line on screen. My first audition, I can't remember what my first audition was. I remember my first ever acting role. It was at infant school. I'd made up a play loosely based on the Sleeping Beauty. And I was the Sleeping Beauty, obviously. And I remember Mark Warren, who since emigrated to Australia, I think after the trauma of having to perform with me, was Prince Charming, and he was late on his cue, so I opened one eye and went, "You've got to kiss me now, Mark. Mark, you've got to kiss me." In this broad Wolverhampton accent. Poor Mark. I really did send him to Australia. It was terrible for him, but I loved it. It's hard to pinpoint a moment where I got passionate about acting and writing. I do remember the moment I realised there was such a thing as acting. And it was when I went to a pantomime with the Sunday school from the mining village that I grew up, because that was like the centre of everyone's social life. And we went to see Dick Whittington at Stoke. I remember it well. I was about 6 years old and I'd never been to a theatre. You go in, you sit down, the lights go up. Oh, there are people telling me a story, but in real life, this is amazing. And then there was a point where they turned the baddie, the Sheriff of Nottingham, into a dog. And don't ask why. It's a complicated plot point. And Dick Whittington said, "I want to volunteer from the audience to come and pat the villain to make sure he's going to be a good boy." Well, I stuck my hand up and he chose me. And suddenly I was under the light and I was close enough to the actors to see the sweat and the makeup. And it was magical. And I thought, I don't know what this place is, but it feels like home. Standout characters. Gosh, I've been lucky enough to play so many amazing characters. I mean, obviously Granny Kumar was really special for me because of the extraordinary people we met and had as guests on the show, but because I got to improvise so much.
Punjabi swearing is wonderful. Ullu ka patta.
Yeah. Ullu ka patta. What does that mean?
Son of an owl.
And that's something you're rarely allowed to do in our jobs. And I don't know why, because it's such a fantastic skill to have, and it tests every single muscle you have as an actor. The sort of delicious fear of jumping without a safety net. It's just a fantastic thing to explore. But I think probably the role that I got an amazing amount of feedback on was Goldie in Abby Morgan's The Split. This woman whose husband springs a totally unexpected divorce on her and then proceeds to secretly snaffle away all the money. When the show was on, I would regularly get stopped every day in the supermarket, walking down the street with women rushing up going, "That was me, that was my story." Favourite guest on the commands? Oh gosh, we had some amazing people. Alan Alda, Richard E. Krause, Sybil Shepherd, and it's crazy. I'm going to have to say out of loyalty, Donny Osmond, because it's quite extraordinary to meet someone in real life whose picture you used to kiss every night and genuinely believe that one day you were going to marry him. It's a bit late when I met Donny. He was married with several children, but he was gracious nevertheless. My favourite sketch from Goodness Gracious Me. Well, people often cite going for an English.
You get tanked up on lassies and you go for an English.
It's the one that everybody remembers, the classical role reversal sketch, a bunch of Indian people going to and going out for an English. My favourite sketch from Goodness Gracious Me is probably Briefly Encountered, which was in, I think, our first ever episode. It was this terribly, terribly English couple at an Indian railway station trying to say the big goodbye and keep getting interrupted by people selling novelty trumpets and peanuts. Misconceptions of working television. Oh, many. The glamour, for example. Yeah. Try telling that when you've dropped your earring down a chemical toilet. It's not glamorous at all. In that situation, Um, I think people do think that it is going to be, this end of the business where you've had somebody do your makeup and you're being interviewed by lovely people. And this is a very tiny little sliver of icing on a really big cake. For me, the thrill of being on a set is the fact that it's communal. That's what I love about it. It isn't just you. You're the pampered person that everybody makes look good. You've got people running after you doing your makeup, your costume. It takes a city to make something for television, and it's a privilege to be part of that. I think that's an important thing to understand. That the talent's it's not just what's in front of the camera, it's that whole body of people behind you that are creating something wonderful together. When you asked me the mentor question, I feel a little sad because, I would have loved one. And I didn't really have one particular person who guided me, and gosh, I needed it. Especially when you start your career and there's so few people out there like you, and you don't know if you're making the right decisions. I didn't come from drama school, so I was learning on the job. There were so many things I had no idea about. I didn't even know and I got a commission to write a television script. I had to ask the agent who would just take me on to handle the contract. I don't know what a television script looks like. Could you maybe send me one? And for me, that is really the most exciting aspect of the fellowship, is that it now comes with a mentoring commitment, and I cannot wait to do that because I know how much it would have meant to me. You find your tribe though, and I would say throughout my career, the people that have really held me up have been my fellow travellers, the other actors and creatives like myself from the South Asian or Black communities that really do understand that we have a different path often, and it's really hard, and you have to support each other and care for each other. So they've been my mentors, really. I think what I would say to emerging talent is as well as building a support network around you, never underestimate how much being kind and helping each other is important. We're often pitted against each other. It's an industry that often encourages divide and rule, particularly if you're from a so-called minority group where you are told things like, well, we've done the One Asian project this year. It's very easy to look sideways and go, well, why have they got it? Or sow the wrong thinking. It doesn't help you spiritually, but also it's not true. There is enough room for everybody, but actually you're stronger together. I hope what I can also pass on really is that I am someone who on paper was never meant to succeed. I didn't come from any connections in the industry, no previous experience, hit the industry at a time where nobody that looked like me was really being cast, or there were no scripts about women like me out there. It was virgin snow. So I had to kind of almost recreate or created the path. It wasn't really there. There were obviously some fantastic actors that had gone before me, but it had very little opportunity to do what they really wanted to do. So I had a little path to follow, but I knew it was a tough one. And I think that can be sometimes quite comforting for a lot of young people starting out who think, I have no idea what I'm doing. I haven't got any famous friends. I've got anyone that can haul me up. Where do I start? I think to let people know there is a place for everyone here, but you have to sing your own song and tell your own story. And then what we want to do is give them the infrastructure and the confidence to know that their story matters. So a creative goal I'm trying to achieve all the time, every day. That's the amazing thing about being in this profession, is that you're always learning. Every new job is a learning experience. So many people I still want to work with, so many roles I still haven't tackled, so many things I want to write, and that it's quite exciting. The curiosity of it and the adventure of it, I don't think ever leaves me. I've never stopped being lucky.